Hello, and welcome to Big Sound Small Town. I'm your host, Sandy Carlton. The small towns and communities of Cleveland County, North Carolina have long been a hotbed of music in all its many forms. Several Cleveland County musicians have found commercial success and critical acclaim in the music industry. Yeah, everybody knows that Earl Scruggs, Don Gibson, Patty Loveless, and Alicia Bridges are from Cleveland County. Donald Byrd, too. So this is not a podcast about them. This is a podcast about the musicians who are still here to keep music alive here. This is the stories, and you need to know them and know the people who are making the music. This is not your normal podcast. In honor of Ken Burns' documentary about country music, my guest on Big Sound Small Town this week is Buster Kendrick. Buster was a part of this sound. He has played the Grand Ole Opery, the Ryman, and he was there for a lot of the Nashville sound. That was him you heard playing, and he has a real good story. So let's listen. Today on Big Sound Small Town, my guest is guitar legend Buster Kendrick. How are you, Buster?
I'm doing good.
That's good. All right.
Where'd this legend come from?
Well, you know, when I first started playing around here, everybody told me that you were the hottest guitarist around. And you know, the first time I played with you, I found that to be true.
Oh my goodness.
So, in fact, I remember playing with you and strap on your guitar came loose. Guitar dropped down, bounced right back up in your hands.
Yeah.
You didn't miss a note.
Oh,
you didn't miss a note singing.
Oh, me.
I was so impressed.
Well, I don't remember that now.
Well, that's...
Now, you're going to bring up some stuff I know. I'm 80 years old.
Well, and that's a good thing.
When Bill Carlisle used to say, I'll be 82 year after next. So I'm falling into that. So I don't remember everything now.
That's okay. It's okay. You don't have to remember everything.
Yeah.
All right, tell me where your love of music started, when you got into music.
Well, it started with my mother and daddy. Right here where we are, next house over. That's where I was raised.
All right.
And Daddy played the guitar, Mother played the piano and organ, and she had an accordion.
Right. Oh yeah.
And I just got the bug really listening to her, because she played by music and by ear, which is rare. Either one of the two usually, but she could do both of them. And what got me going, there's an old guitar at the house, and Daddy showed me some chords. And I didn't know nothing about music. She would play or sing, she sung a lot, and she would point to me and tell me when to change chords, because I didn't know.
Right.
And I didn't know about 2 or 3 chords or 4 or whatever they was. And that's how it really got me started.
That's pretty good. Well, I guess then you played along with her for a while there.
I did, yeah.
And What kind of music was that? She played?
She played all kinds.
Oh, that's great.
And she was working at Boss Bakery at the retail shop uptown. And Hubert Green was working there also. Of course, Hubert plays fiddle.
Yeah, fine fiddler.
And she talked, Hubert didn't come in at the house, so he'd come down, and then that got me started playing back up to a fiddle with Hubert. And he'd done that a lot.
Right.
So that just turned everything on.
and I guess that was I guess his was pretty much a bluegrass gospel thing, right?
He played, I remember the first couple of songs, Down Yonder, he played Down Yonder, and this song like that, and that got me to where I could hear the chord changes. Yeah. So that's how that started.
That's pretty good then. I was wondering if you remembered what was like the first thing you learned.
Yeah, the first thing I learned was the Prisoner song. You remember the Prisoner song?
I do.
If I Had the Wings of an Angel, that's the very first song that I learned to play.
That's a good song.
Yeah, it was.
That's a good song. Still a good song.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all right, so you've learned to play. There you are, playing along with them. Now, when did you decide that there was more to it? You wanted to do something more with it?
Well, I can tell you exactly when that happened, too. If you look out the window, all this right here that you're looking at was not here when I was growing up. But there's a house over there. I don't think you can see it, but it's right over there behind, in those trees.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Pete Sutherland lived there, and his wife was an invalid, and she loved Red Foley.
Yeah, Red Foley.
Red Foley had scheduled a show at the Shelby Armory.
Yeah.
And she was an invalid and she couldn't go. And her husband called Grady Cole.
Yeah.
At Charlotte, WBT. They were putting on the show. They were sponsoring Red Foley. And he explained that Red Foley was her hero and she wasn't going to be able to go, and invited them to come to the house right out here, which is unheard of today.
It is unheard of.
But they came.
Oh, he did. He did come.
After the show, they all stopped by Miss George's house out here, and I remember, and I don't know how old I was, but I was old enough that I remember it.
Right.
I remember Red Foley leaning up against the cook stove out there, singing Jolie Blanc.
Oh, yeah, Jolie Blanc.
And right that second, when I watched him and listened to him, I said, that's what I want to do. And that's all I remember about that night, really.
Right.
But I remember that.
That was the changer for
you.
That's when
really
you decided that's what you...
It is.
So how'd you go about making that happen? How you decided you wanted to do that?
Well, all right, from there on, Ernest Mahaffey, local preacher at that time down at Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, he played guitar. He's from up around Canton or Asheville, somewhere up in there. And he played the mountain guitar.
Right.
And that turned me on. He taught me some runs and some stuff. And I picked some with him a lot while he was here. And then, of course, he got shipped out somewhere else. But we were friends from then on.
Right.
But that's really what got me started playing what little lead I was playing. But that's how that started.
Did you start playing around here locally?
Yeah. First little job I got was with Mike Lattimore.
Yeah, Mike Lattimore.
They had a club up in Shelby, the Teen Timers.
Right.
And he had his band was called the Teen Timers.
Okay.
And I was a member of that for a while. Me and Mike, if I start naming names, I'll forget them. But Jack and Irene Crawley was in the band at that time, and Bill Richards, P. Vine Richards, if you remember him, but he was a singer.
And what kind of stuff was y'all doing?
Just everything.
Everything.
Yeah, just basic country
Yeah.
stuff. And I was with him a while, a good while. And as long as that, till it played out.
Right. Yeah. Stuff plays out like that.
Yeah.
All right. Then after that plays out, what happens?
Oh, let's see. Well, I don't know in what sequence, but I'm trying to think who it was. But me and Dan played together, Dan Paget.
Yeah.
Dan was in with the Teen Timers too.
Okay.
And we played several, long time.
Right.
Matter of fact, all the way through high school and all. We both went to Gardner Webb.
Yeah.
And I blame Horace Scruggs for me not finishing at Gardner Webb. 'Cause me and Dan and Horace, Horace was working at Gardner Webb at that time. He was, I don't know what, he was a maintenance man, I guess, there. But we'd go down there in the boiler room at Gardner Webb and play.
Oh,
and that took up time, and I wasn't doing good grade. But anyway, that's my story with Dan and Horace. But
that's a good story.
But we had a good time, me and Dan. And then we played at Kings Mountain, had a radio show with the Black Mountain Boys.
Oh, okay.
Then I ended up at WADA with the local Saturday morning show.
Oh, yeah.
With Earl Clay, you remember Popeye?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Popeye.
Popeye was a singer. Jimmy Sansing.
Yeah.
Bobby McKee, just different ones. And we done that a while. And I don't know if this was the reason we left there or not, but we was doing the show. We got through singing the song, and I said something about, we're glad that you folks are listening in to us here on WOHS. Well, we wasn't at WOHS. We was at WADA. Boris Hanna come out of his office just fuming because I had to give the wrong call letter. But anyway, that was, I remember that part of it.
That's a good one there. That's a real good one there.
Yeah. But that's up to that point.
Yeah.
Another thing, during that show, Ken Vassey was our the engineer in there.
Okay.
And R.C. Nanny was our MC. We were going to go around these schoolhouses and do these programs.
He did that a lot around here, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. So that's how I got acquainted with R.C., and we stayed buddies till he passed away.
Yeah.
But if you remember the song, Country Music is Here to Stay, maybe?
Yeah.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah, it is.
Fairland Husky?
Fairland Husky, yeah.
When he imitated Lum and Abner at the very beginning, it starts out, "Hi, doggies, Lum, what you doing?" "Oh, I'm tinkering with this blame radio, trying to get some country music." Well, we had that down pretty good, but Earl Popeye was doing one of the voices, and he had the first word on it, and we was going to open the show with it. Well, we was all in there, got ready, got set, everybody with the guitars and the whatever, and the red light come on to start. Well, Earl couldn't see it. He didn't know that it had started. So I remember that part. It took a while to punching him, and because you couldn't say, "Hey, Earl, the red light's on." Well, we didn't say that. But I thought that's
pretty funny.
Funniest deal.
Yeah.
But that actually happened.
That's pretty funny there. That's and then so you're playing around here. I guess what comes after that?
Well, we done all that for a good while.
Yeah.
Then I got with Mitchell Queen and Butch Ivy,
Yeah, I know.
Ronnie Brown,
Yeah.
and Keith Jones.
Yeah.
And we were the, we were the, can't think of the name of it. But anyway, we played Moose Clubs and Elks and BFWs and all that. We'd go, we'd done that a long time.
Yeah, I remember that.
We'd go Gastonia one week in Shelby, and then we'd go maybe Gaffney or Chesney, and then by the next month we'd do it again, same ones.
Right.
Playing each one of them once a month. And we've done that for a long time.
Yeah.
But I guess right after that time, me and Butch and Mitchell, let's see, I can't remember who. Leonard was playing the bass. I was playing guitar, Butch and Mitchell. No, Leonard was playing drums.
Okay.
And I joined the Masons about that time. And it so happened that when I joined the Mason, Tom Brooks joined the same time, same month. And we went through the Masonic deal together. So, and I don't know if you remember Tom, but he was the one that had Crossroads Music
he did.
Park over here. Mm-hmm. So, me and Tom became real close. And after he opened up the music park, he met the Radford sisters and sort of in charge of their career. And of course, he was in with the Wilburn brothers and Loretta Lynn and that. He had them at the music park, so he knew all those folks. So he's trying to get the Radford sisters. He needed a band for them, so we were the Radford sisters band from then on. And he did, through Doyle Wilburn, got them a recording contract, and they had a semi-hit record.
Right.
And that lasted several years. He booked. We were the Hold Ons.
Okay.
That was the name of our band, because the Radford sisters' hit record was Hold On Woman.
Okay.
So we were the Hold On. And we were booked with the Wilburn brothers, different places, and backed them up. And during that time, Mel Street came, and we was his band for different places. We went. I remember going to Virginia, somewhere in Tennessee with them, South Carolina with Mel.
Was you still living here then?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about going nowhere.
Right.
But we went out to Fanfare, and we were going around doing the things you do at Fanfare, and I was with the girls, the Radford sisters. And Little Roy Wiggins had a shop on the corner, and on the corner where Toots's is, there was another thing. So they had a appointment with Little Roy Wiggins on his radio show.
Oh, okay.
So we go over there and they do this show, and we're walking back across Broadway.
Yeah.
And I remember this, it looked like it was a while ago. We got right in the middle of Broadway, and one of the girls told the other and said, "I don't want to do this no more."
Oh, no.
Yeah. And the other said, "I don't either. I just don't like doing it." And that was it.
Oh, man.
They had a major recording contract with MCA. And they was just about to get on the Opry because they done made a couple appearances.
Right.
But they decided they didn't want to do it no more.
Man,
so that was the end of that.
So, all right, so what happens then?
Well, I don't know. I had sort of a lull, I guess. I was working at Porter Brothers all that time.
Okay.
And that sort of burned out. I forget now why. But I had a desire to play the Grand Ole Opery. That's what I wanted to do. And it didn't look like I was going to, but I didn't lose the want to.
Right.
And come up with this idea to have this little music store, which would set up a mobile home out here.
Right.
And had Bobby Rose was another friend of mine, and we went in together to have the music store, which was a big mistake, you know. But that lasted a while, and then I won't get into that, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And during that time, when I was playing with Bobby was a songwriter and a singer, and we went and did the Ernest Stubb Midnight Jamboree with Bobby. And on that show, Grant Turner was the MC, and Ernest wasn't there. He was, I think. I don't know. But he was there one time we was playing, I know. But on this particular show, Bobby was doing his songs that he had written, and Jim Owen was a guest on the show. So I got acquainted with Jim. And then, about a week later, Jim called me here at home and asked would I be interested in playing for him. I said, well, let me think about it. Yes, I will. You know? So I stayed with Jim for several years. Just me and him. I was his band. Right. But we'd use the house bands where we go.
I guess you just direct them.
Well, when we got there, first thing I did on the shows that he was doing, the marquee always had Jim Owens. Right. My job was to take the S off of the Owens, because his name is Owen.
Owen, yeah.
So that was my first job. Then I'd meet with the house band and show them, or not show them, because they all knew it. Or supposed to have known his song. He done all Hank Williams stuff.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
So, and that lasted for a good while. And I guess that brings me up pretty, because I was with him a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know what was next.
Well, now, sometime in there, did you have an association with Hank Garland and
something? Oh, yeah. I don't want to leave Hank out of this. Hank is a big influence. Hank, the way I met Hank was Gene White down here in Gaffney.
Yeah.
Had a studio, taught guitar. And he was working with Hank, trying to get him back after his accident and hospital stay and all that, you know, all that story. Yeah. But anyway, I would go down there and just sit there and listen to Hank. Sometimes he could just blow it away. And the next verse, he wouldn't know he had a guitar in his hand. Right. But I got acquainted with Mr. Garland and Ms. Garland and Billy, which is Hank's brother, and little Billy, with Billy's son. And I went down there for a long time, just sitting there listening to him.
That's a great thing. I mean, you couldn't go to a much better place.
Oh, I know it. Every time I'd leave there, I'd have all this stuff in my head, and it was amazing. I mean, the man was phenomenal. But I got acquainted with him, and then I got to going down to their house. They lived down here in Bone Springs, South Carolina, at that time. And me and my wife, Priscilla, we'd go down there and spend the afternoon with them, got acquainted with the family. And it's got to be a regular thing. We got to, then I got going down there and just picking with him. And he was needing somebody to sort of follow along with him, because he wanted to play. And he could, but sometimes he couldn't. Right. And I got Bill Allen to go down there too.
I knew Bill.
Bill got acquainted with Hank, and he had done the same thing. He'd go down. Now Bill could stay up with him with all his chords that Bill knows.
Play with Bill, yeah.
Yeah, and we got to talking about guitars, and And he got to showing me all his guitars he had. And I told Mr. Garland, and I didn't know whether to even ask this or not. I said, I'd like to, someday, if Hank's going to sell any guitars, I'd like to buy one.
Right.
And, I don't know. He probably won't ever sell them. But if he ever does, would you consider it?
Right.
So this went on like a day or two, or a week or two. I went back down there and Mr. Garland got up out of his chair and went back in the house somewhere. He was in the living room. He was plundering around back there, and then he brought a guitar out. Looked terrible, the case.
All right, I'm back here with Buster, and he's telling me how he got to Nashville.
Well, I got this job with the Gray Line Tour, driving a little minibus. And I got acquainted with Joe Carroll. And come to find out, well, me and Joe became real buddies. Come to find out, he played guitar for Grandpa Jones on the Opry and traveled with him. And this was his second job. And I didn't know that for a long time. And we were talking one day, and I told him I wanted to, trying to get on at the Opry. I wanted to play guitar. He said, well, I don't think you have to be there. It's just hard to do it. And once you get it, you got to be good enough to stay. But Joe wasn't too much help. He kind of discouraged me. But he said he'd try to help. And, well, I worked on at Gray Line for a while, and Joe did too. We was all there, still buddies. And this guy named Scott Wickerly was working part-time too, and he was a drummer for an orchestra there in Nashville. He come up to me and said, how would you like to drive for a Stars bus, tour bus? I said, no, I don't know. I had never even thought about that.
Right.
Hadn't even never been in sat down on the steering wheel or
Right.
had it in my hands. I had no idea. He said, well, I'm substituting drum for somebody, and he's been driving for Dave and Sugar.
Okay, yeah.
Well, Dave and Sugar needed somebody to drive for the weekend it's going to somewhere up in New England for 3 or 4 days. I said, I'll do it. Well, I knew all the time I couldn't do it because I didn't know. I never had done it
before, yeah.
So Ray Kirkland was another buddy of mine, and I was telling him this story. This was before we'd done it. But I already told him I was going to do it.
Right.
I said, I need some experience driving the bus. He said, well, he played for Jimmy C. Newman.
Okay.
And drove the bus, and he had the bus. So he had to go, I forget now what he was doing, servicing into something. He said, just come go with me. We go up 65 a ways up to do whatever you're doing, turn around and back. I said, is it hard to drive? He said, no, ain't nothing to it, just like the car, it's just bigger. So he gets up, we're coming down the interstate, he gets up out of his seat. He said, sit down here and drive it. It's a gear stick thing. And I drove it, wasn't no problem. He said, now, why don't you turn off right up here and go down in Goodlettsville? Well, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
So he's telling me how to clutch and the brake and the gear it down and all this. My first job, or first time driving a tour bus, was down through the town of Goodlettsville in Jimmy C. Newman's bus. But that got me started, and it really wasn't that hard, but it just new, and
Right.
I was scared to death.
Oh, I'm sure.
But that's how that happened. Then I think it was Thursday we was leaving, so I went down. I got the job. Of course, Dave Rowland, he's since passed away, just like not too long ago.
Yeah.
But he didn't know I couldn't drive. But I got down to his house, and the bus is already cranked up and ready to go. And behind him, hooked up to the bus, was a bread truck. And I didn't know nothing about that bread truck, but that's what he carried his equipment in the bread truck, and he pulled it with the bus.
That's funny.
So here I am. My first job driving a bus was going to New England, Connecticut, and all them places up there, pulling that bread truck with Dave and Sugar. Now, I'm telling you all that to answer the question. On the way back, now Dave Fowler was Dottie West's bass player.
Okay.
And he was substituting for Dave, for the bass player for Dave and Sugar.
Right.
So he was on that tour. And I really didn't know who Dave was, but David was a real good friend of Ronnie Brown.
Okay.
And we had something to talk about. And we got to talking, coming down, and he said, What are you doing in Nashville? I said, I'm trying to get me a job at the opera. He said, well, sometimes they hire. And we just got to talking about it. So got home, back to Nashville. He went his way, I went my way. The next day, phone rung. It was Kerry West. Kerry is Dottie's son,
Okay.
which is Dottie's manager at that time.
Okay.
He said, I was just talking to David Fowler, and we need a bus driver to go to Dallas. Wanted to know if you'd be available. He told me how you was a good bus driver. Well, I wasn't a good bus driver, but evidently I didn't run into nothing on that trip. And he recommended me. Wanted to know if I would take him to Dallas. And I did. And then I got acquainted with all of them.
Right.
And of course David was playing with her at that time. So that worked out good, and I met Dottie, and everything worked just fine. About Thursday of the next week, Kerry called me again. Said, would you be interested in driving Mom in the bus to D.C.? Lady Bird Johnson was having a birthday party, and she wanted Dottie to sing at her birthday party. So I said, yeah, I do. So I drove them that weekend. And on the way back, Dottie asked me, would you be interested in driving for me all the time, full time? I said, no, I'm not. I wouldn't. I'm just not in it. I want to play guitar.
Right.
I want to play on the Opry. And I really was. I was hung up on this Opry thing. And she said, well, I sure do need a bus driver. Do you know anybody that you could recommend? I said, no. And I said, no. And I repeated. I said, I want to play with somebody on the Opry. She said, well, I tell you, I'm playing the Opry this Friday. Go with me, and we'll go see if I can find somebody that needs a guitar player, and we'll just ask you around, and maybe I can help you get on. Well, I went with them. And after she got through singing on Opry, we was backstage, and she got walking around talking to her fellow Opry members, and she come back and said, I've asked everybody here, nobody needs a guitar player. And Carrie's standing right here beside of me. She said, I don't know then nobody needs a picker. Everybody got what they want.
Right.
Carrie said, why don't you hire him? Just like that. She said, can I do that? He said, well, sure. She said, okay. Now, that's how I got my job with Dottie West. And I stayed with her the whole time till she passed away.
Now, did you have to drive during
I
that
did.
time?
I had to drive.
You was the driver and guitar player.
That was my best job I ever had. Ever had. I'd drive on the tour, take them wherever. And I played every opera show, every TV show she done. Anything there I played.
Right.
And it was just unbelievable.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure that'd be the highlight about anybody's career.
Oh, yeah. And I stayed with her till she had that wreck and passed away.
Now, what happened after the wreck?
Well, after the wreck, I worked with her daughter for a while. Worked with Shelley.
Yeah.
Had the same deal with her, with Shelley.
Played guitar.
Yeah. And, let's see. Shelley wasn't all that busy at that time, but we done traveled a lot with her.
Right.
And then using Dottie's bus, Johnny Russell needed the bus, and he wanted to borrow Dottie's bus. He said, yeah, if Buster can drive it, I'll loan it to you. So I went on tour with Big John. And let's see, who else? I worked some with, this is after Dottie passed away, and I was just sort of freelancing, going around, doing what I could. And I ended up with a job with Louise Mandrell, just driving, not playing. And in the meantime with her, I worked some with Farron Young, just driving.
Right.
And the Gatlin brothers, I got that job because I worked with Dottie.
Right.
But I didn't last long with them. I couldn't handle it. Right. But I did do that. Let's see, who else? I guess that's... Oh, I ended up with Don Williams.
Yeah, Don Williams.
Yeah, I played, I drove for him for about 3 years. I don't know if he got tired of me or I got tired of him. But it ended up, I think I just quit. And I got tired. He was driving back and forth to Branson.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Charlie Pride was doing it. Charlie would be there 3 nights, Don 4 nights, and then they'd switch the next week. So Don didn't want to stay up there.
Right.
He wanted to come home every week. So I had that
Driving back and forth.
back and forth. That burned out quick.
Oh, yeah, I bet it did.
But that's about it. So I come home, and with all that driving experience, I got a job at American Charter in Charlotte and drove with them. They sold it, and somebody else bought it. Worked with, when they sold out, I got a job with Phil Toney up at Far City, Bostic.
Right.
And I drove for him till he sold his bus. And then by that time, I was done.
Yeah.
I'd burn out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So are you playing music these days either?
No, not really. I've got some grandkids that I'm interested in working with, and they're wanting to play.
Oh,
and,
that's good.
Casey is a songwriter, and a good songwriter. I've been working with her, showing her chords and all.
Right.
And me and her worked up a little deal. We can play at a church and,
Right.
and
That's good. That's
birthday
great.
parties and nursing homes and all that.
Yeah.
And her brother Drew, I've been working with him for a long time. They both have a desire to play.
That's good.
And Drew wants to play lead and all that. And I've showed him everything I know, and he grabbed it and gone with
That's
it.
good. That's
So
excellent.
he's in Western Carolina. I think he's a senior this year.
Oh, okay.
And Casey lives right behind us, so I see Casey
That's good.
every once in a while.
Well, it seems like you still got some music left in you, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
Pass on to you,
Yeah,
to your grandchildren.
yeah.
Right?
But as far as playing, the last couple of times I played down at the church by myself. I just played a couple of Chet Atkins stuff, and I got stage fright.
Really?
Really,
You got straight stage
I did, and it's real. Oh,
Oh, I know it's real. I mean, I've known a lot of people that have.
yeah, but I've never had that. I have never, ever. Even at the Opry, I go out there with no problem. Never scared or.
Well, it's always harder for me to play for family and people I know
Yeah.
and love than it is to play for people I don't know.
That's right.
I mean,
But I told Priscilla that I don't think I'm gonna do it anymore because it ain't worth it.
well, if it makes you know, if the fun's
No.
gone, you know.
Yeah, I can still play.
I'm
Sitting
sure
in
you
here,
can.
I can pick and do. But somebody comes in and wants me to play and wants to sit here and listen, I just tighten up.
Still get nervous.
I really tighten up, and that makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
You
It
got to
really
be
does.
loose and carefree when you're playing.
You do.
But I don't know what. I don't know what it is.
Well, Buster, I'll tell you what, this has been a great interview, very interesting, and I sure do appreciate you allowing me to come and do this.
Well, thank you for coming. And I told you to start with, you'd be wasting your trip because my career is nowhere close to being interesting to anybody.
It's pretty interesting to me,
Well,
and I'm sure it will be to a lot of other people.
well, I hope so. But it's all true.
Yeah, well, that's the good part of it. Thank you again.
Oh, you bet.
A footnote on Buster. He said he forgot to mention the fact that his last group of people that he was playing with were the Chuck Wagon Gang, and that how much he enjoyed doing that. So now you know.